Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, let's go. Kevin here, Top 1 Financial Advisor and best-selling author. We are here to talk about the stock market. Hey, happy Friday, everybody, and we are almost done with January. And surprisingly enough, I don't think I've done a really big deep dive on what you might want to invest in this year. So one, I apologize, but two, let's go ahead and get into it, because I have said already that a lot of what happened in 2022 and what worked in 2022 will likely work in 23. But after further examination, that is still true, but there are a few areas that have been sneakily working their way into an investable space. So I'm going to name a few names as well as tell you the areas I think you want to really pay attention to. Now, oil and gas has done really well almost on, I would say, the last 18 months or so, and may continue to do well. You can really just throw a dart at any oil and gas company and probably make a lot of money. So that one is being excluded. It's almost too easy, but there are so many. There are just so many. So that one is already excluded. I think that's obvious. You want a little bit more than that when you come to a channel like this. All right, so I've got a list here in front of me. I've got 4 areas to pay attention to. Some you have heard before. Insurance is going to be on here. That's spoiler alert here. But a few that you may not have had on your list. Now, as we are doing this, remember that my philosophy is, number one, we want to invest in things that are moving, right? Momentum. What I don't want to do is invest in what's called a falling knife. There are companies like Tesla that have done well in the past, Microsoft, Amazon, Google. I like most of those companies, but they just haven't done well. And why I think Google will still be alive. I think Microsoft is one of my favorite companies, and I would invest in Microsoft and just hold it for the next 5 years, and I have before. I need a little bit more right now, right? I need something that's going to work in 23, and then I can go back and reevaluate in 6 months, reevaluate in 24, and decide whether or not I want to continue to keep it. This tactic of investing in momentum stocks, companies that are moving well and have the right environment to continue to grow, is one way that you can beat the stock market in a year when the market was down. That's one thing that saved my account last year, and I think people who have been liking and subscribing and have been here for a while, you have seen the results on your own, right? So here are a few areas that you want to pay attention to, and then we'll explain why. So first, I have been talking a little bit about infrastructure stocks. Now, we have done a lot of videos, what feels like maybe a year or 2 years ago now, where we talked about the importance of infrastructure, and that money is coming out, right? That was, what was it, $1.9 trillion bill that was passed. That money is starting to come out there. There's one reason why I like John Deere. Caterpillar is another really good stock that has done incredibly well, and I think they have a long runway to continue to go for 23. I think you should have some infrastructure play somewhere in your portfolio for this year. It doesn't have to be those two. Those are the two I like, and I think I own John Deere somewhere. It's probably my Roth IRA. I know the kids definitely have John Deere. In either case, pick one. You can do both if you want. They're not necessarily total competitors, but it's totally up to you. But something in infrastructure and manufacturing, I think, is going to be important. We heard on Thursday rather that fourth quarter GDP, that's the goods that we produce as a country, was up more than 1%. So we're still not in a recession, and we're still expanding, even though unemployment and the job market unemployment is kind of, reducing itself and kind of dwindling down just a bit. But we're still expanding, and that is usually a pretty good sign for the construction industry. And then even if we were in a recession, that infrastructure money is still going to be spent anyway. So I think that is one of the easiest, best investments or categories that you can be in. So that's number one. Number two here is finance. Now, finance is an interesting one because not every bank is the same. Okay, I want to really emphasize that there are some banks, especially regional ones, that have not done well. Signature Bank was a company I was really high on this time last year. They had done incredibly well, and then once we started to get fears of recession, it absolutely fell off. Terrible, terrible choice there. But there are some that are doing well and are starting to kind of really catch some momentum. One example is JP Morgan. Did y'all know that JP Morgan was up 20% in the last 6 months? What? It's not something I would have expected. So that might be one that's on your list. You got to be real careful about the banks because they're all organized very differently. We had talked about Goldman Sachs compared to Morgan Stanley. it's different there, and they are going through some layoffs. So you do want to be careful depending on whether it's a large regional bank or a large national bank or a smaller regional bank. Bank of Oklahoma, it's based in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is where I'm from. That's a stock that has done incredibly well. I didn't even know they were publicly traded, and they would be on my short list of companies in the banking industry to pay attention to. We know that because interest rates are going up, and this has been a case for more than a year now, that usually helps banks make more money. The downside here, and the thing you want to be concerned about, is if we go into a recession, and if things get worse, then they're not going to be able to make that money, right? Because businesses don't take on loans when things get more expensive in some cases, or people aren't able to pay those loans and mortgages back. That's where banks get the majority of their money. Pay attention to it. There's no guarantee. Again, I just told you, last 2 quarters or so have been great for the economy. And the last time we got the unemployment numbers, we gained more jobs, which is generally a good thing, even though the market fell. So I still haven't heard any official thing about where the market is going or where the economy is going in terms of recession or not, official or not. But right now, things still look solid, right? I don't like the price of eggs, but everything else is solid. So pay attention to the banks, but be very, very picky on which ones you choose. Okay, you can't just throw it like oil and just hit something. Banking, you want to be a lot more careful in what you pick there. Next is the healthcare, health tech sector. Depending on how you want to look at it, Eli Lilly is still out there. Merck, MRK, is the one that I went with on public. That's the one that I bought also for my kids as well. That's a sector that is, I don't like to say guarantee or inflation proof or anything like that, but when you make medicine and things that people absolutely need, inflation or not, recession or not, people are still going to need those things, and that's not likely to change. So that is a place I think it's very, very easy and has a lot of different options. So do pay attention to which one you want to choose in that space. But that's one that did incredibly well last year, and I think will continue to do well this coming year, or the rest of this year, since it's already here as well. All right, and the last one, the one we talk about perhaps the most, is insurance. Y'all know my pick here is Progressive. United Healthcare is another one, though it's not made double-digit returns, at least from when I looked at it the other day. But there are a lot of ones in this space. AIG could be another one too. Travel insurance might be another one. There are a lot of picks that you can have in that space. And the reason why, again, if it's healthcare insurance, you got to have it in either case. If it's property, casualty insurance, auto insurance, stuff like that, more on the Progressive side, still, you gotta have it anyway. So those are some of the ones that you want to pay attention to. Lastly, which is not on my list here, but you can still do stuff like General Mills, Smuckers, those consumer good categories that people have to have in either case. Dollar General is one that just popped into my mind that sells those types of things. That's also done pretty well, that defensive category. So that one is a little more mixed, because a Dollar General, a Smuckers, General Mills, they're sort of in the same category, but not. And those are not as ubiquitous. There aren't that many picks in that space, but those are, in my view, very safe places to be. So those are the 4/5 areas that you do want to really focus your attention and your watch list on. So we've got infrastructure stocks, you've got finance, healthcare, insurance, and then those consumer defensive stocks. That one's kind of a grab bag there. But those things that people have to buy anyway, I like to say those are the ones that are really playing the middle, where I can say, look, I don't know what's going to happen in international markets. I don't know what's going to happen with the recession. I do know people are going to buy peanut butter and jelly, right? I know people are still going to eat cereal. I know that Dollar General is going to be on every corner. So those are some things that you do absolutely want to pay attention to. Now, inside of our members only, for each of these areas, I have listed out at least 5 stocks for each. Okay, that's 25 that you want to have on your watch list. So if you want to know those things, if I were you, I would be inside the members only. Just saying, we do exclusive videos every single week, and it's out there. Okay, so go ahead and hit the link below, and that's it. I'll talk to y'all on Monday. Bye.